Addictions can be a destructive and terrible thing. Don't fear. There are ways of getting help. The first stage to getting help is admitting that you have a problem. The second stage is actively seeking help, most often found in the group of peers sharing the same problem.
Whoa, hold on a second, stop the music, stop.
We don't have a problem.
Yeah, we can stop whenever we want.
We just don't want to.
Welcome to Warcraft Anonymous on WCRadio.com. It's 7 p.m. in the East, midnight across the pond. It's time to tune in, turn up, and zone out.
Hello, and welcome to Warcraft Anonymous here on WCRadio.com with myself, Hiko.
Myself, Relvis.
And, wow. What a day. We had a great after-show after Max Speed, which was actually after the Max Speed after party, which was after Max Speed, which is actually after the WoW Insider Show. It's a massive rock block of awesome here on WoW Radio on Saturdays. So, that being said, Relvis, how are you doing, man? Long time no see.
Yeah, no, tell me about it. My computer's on the fritz, but we're putting it back together again. It definitely turned out to be a graphics card issue. Other than that, I believe next week I'm going to see Queens of the... No, let's take it back a bit. This Friday, I'm going to see Queens of the Stone Age. I'm looking forward to that. And, yeah, we're going to King Richard's Fair again. And we're going LARPing.
Yes.
And I'm grouping you with me, because we are complete nerds. We don't just play World of Warcraft, Dungeons & Dragons.
We bring it to the next level.
We take it to other people.
Right, it's true. Our nerdiness is, in fact, over 9,000. For those of you who aren't aware of what a LARP is, ask your parents.
It's not an instrument.
It's not an instrument. That would be a lute. A lute is an instrument.
Or a harp.
Or a harp.
But not a LARP.
No, it's not a combination of a lute and a harp.
Maybe it's a fish.
Could be a fish.
Oh, wait, no, that's a carp.
That's a carp, that's right. Well, I guess we'll get into that later. Speaking of which, some announcements. We do have announcements before the show. First and foremost, last week you might notice we didn't do a couple of segments. We didn't do Where's Relvis, and we also didn't do On Topic. Unfortunately, we do not have an On Topic for you this week either. There are some shows that are going through some, problems as far as getting shows out, and that's fine. We're looking forward to having them all back real soon, but as such, we haven't had enough material to really do it, and plus, I've been lazy. See, I didn't group you in with me that time, Relvis. I've been lazy.
You have been lazy.
I have
How
been.
dare you?
Even though it's your job. But that's okay. Other announcement regards Where's Relvis. So, we've had a couple of complaints talking about how Where's Relvis is a US-only thing, and we are showing some hate against the EU.
I hate them, actually.
Well, that's true, and that may be. We may hate the EU.
By hate, I mean love.
Right. But our crack team of genealogists here at WCRadio.com have come up with an interesting and disturbing find. There is a chance that Relvis might actually be Total Biscuit's lost sibling from a different mother and a different father. It's true. It's scary. We're going to be working with our team over the next couple weeks to locate the family ties between these two, and if that's the case, we're going to see if Mr. Biscuit will be willing to help us out with an EU Where's Relvis. No promises yet, but it's on the drawing board.
Family Ties, wasn't that show with Michael J. Fox?
No, I think that was Who's the Boss.
No, it was Family Ties.
Was it Family Ties?
It was Family Ties.
Who's the Boss? There was another guy that wasn't Michael J. Fox. That was somebody else entirely.
Yeah, so you were wrong.
I was wrong.
And speaking of being wrong, and
I don't like where this is
not
going.
really being wrong at all, I would like to note, for those of you who have seen the front page of WCRadio.com, you'll have noticed that Total Biscuit put up an announcement this past week about how WoW Radio has made it back onto Blizzard's top fan sites. We are one of the top 9, I believe. I would like to give a shout out in that respect to Gnomewise and his crew for Casually Hardcore, and to you and me, here you go, for the fact that without our 2 shows, I'm pretty sure that we wouldn't have gotten WC Radio back onto the fan site list.
Clearly, it is. I have absolutely no doubt in my mind that it is entirely thanks to us here at Warcraft Anonymous and Nomize and his crew over at Casually Hardcore that pushed us over the top. So we are going to go ahead and take all of the credit for that.
Yeah, and we'll share it like 70-30 with Nomize and them.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
80-20 or something.
Maybe 90-10.
95.
100.
But I left 5 out. We'll give that to...
We'll give that to Total Biscuit so
there
we
we
don't get
go.
fired.
There we go.
So that's right, final breakdown. 90% us, 5% Casually Hardcore, 5% Total Biscuit. I'm pretty sure those numbers might be a little bit off, but we'll go ahead and get back with our statisticians and we'll let you know what the deal with that is. Because apparently now here at WC Radio, not only do we have a crack genealogy team, but we also have a group of in-house statisticians.
What about crack?
All right. We have a action-packed, fantastic show for you here today. If you are not already in there, you can go into the IRC channel by going to WCRadio.com, clicking on the chat button at the top of the page, heading down to the chat Java client in there, or you can join Pound Wow Radio. Got it right that time.
Pound that radio?
Pound that radio. Pound Wow Radio in your very own IRC client and get in there and chat with us. Because just like Speedy on max speed, we love to get distracted by IRC.
By the way, Casually Hardcore is on Thursday nights at 9 o'clock EST, 2 o'clock GMT, for those of you who are interested in listening. And they bring an interesting perspective to their show about the people who aren't quite casual, but aren't quite hardcore. Check them out.
Right in the middle ground. We definitely suggest that you go over there and check out Nomize and his crew.
Otherwise, we wouldn't be back on, the top 9 fan sites.
So go show your love. Now. Well, not now. In about an hour and a half from now.
Well, you could do it now. They could listen to us and go to the forums at least.
That's true. You can go to the forums. And how you get to the forums is by going to WCRadio.com, clicking on the forums button, and then going to the forum you want to post in. Speaking of which, thank you all. Shout out to all of you who have posted in our forums for making our forums spectacularly made of win. So.
You were looking at me like you expected me to say something.
No, I just want to see if you had anything to input there. Apparently you don't, because you're still just looking at me scarily with no shirt on.
I am not wearing a shirt.
It's true, he's not wearing a shirt. It is kind of hot in our recording studio.
I'm kind of hot, and
He's
I'm
kinda
in the
hot.
recording studio.
Yeah, and it's like 81 degrees in here in the middle of October, beginning of October. But, it's all well and good. It's not like we're in New England or anything.
No, and this can be edited later, so we can just leave the hot part out, because it's not like this is live or anything.
Yeah, this couldn't be live radio. But that being said, we have another fantastic announcement. I'm going to give this one to Relvis. It's actually more of a contest than a announcement.
Well, for those of you who happen to visit the WCRadio.com page, you'll notice at the top of the page, and any pages linked to it that are related to WC Radio, you'll see banners that flash by that tell you certain shows. Well, I've been working on a banner for our show, but I'm looking for a catchphrase. Right now it says something along the lines of "we can stop whenever we want to," or "we're not addicted," something to that effect. I'm looking for a catchphrase to replace that. I want people to email me at Railvis, that's RAILVAS, at WCRadio.com with your ideas for what a good catchphrase for this show would be. I'm looking for appropriate things, obviously, and
well, you can send him inappropriate stuff. He's just not going to really take that into consideration. But as a side note, if you want to throw something in there that's just completely off the wall, I'll get a chuckle out of it watching him kind of sift through it. So go ahead and do that too.
And maybe I'll try to get to that before the end of the show. We'll see how many people we have that write in. And you can feel free to send pictures too. I'm not going to actually add them to the banner, but I will accept pictures as well.
Like that picture Speedy sent us. Both the pictures Speedy sent us a couple weeks ago. That was... Thank
awesome.
you again,
Thank you.
Speedy. I don't think I'm ever going to be able to forget
Sleep again.
Yeah, the image has kind of been burned into my retinas, thanks.
Anyway, how are you, Higo, really quickly?
I am doing fairly well. I'm tired. It's been a long week. But I'm really excited to be on the air again. And this is kind of a bright spot to the week. Been playing Halo 3 a bit. It's good-ish.
Do we have a good drop-in for that?
I don't know if we do. Did you have something in mind?
Not really. I can't see the board.
All right. So what do I think of Halo 3?
If you had to put a drop into it.
I had to put a drop into it in my little meager board of drop-ins. Well, I think Halo 3 is... Yeah, I'm actually not going to get into Halo 3 because, to be perfectly honest, it's Halo 2 with vamped up graphics. And that's fine. It's fun for multiplayer, but that's what it is.
That's about it, yeah. It's a kind of a Unreal Tournament type deal.
Yeah, you keep just getting iterations of the same thing.
Yep.
With a decent story. But then again, what video game doesn't have a decent story if it wants to succeed in any kind of way? But this is not Halo Anonymous. This is Warcraft Anonymous. So, we're going to go ahead and start this party off with Where's Relvis? And guess what, folks? I do actually have clues this time. We have clues, 3 of them. You'll get them throughout the show. For those of you who aren't aware or only started tuning in last week, here's how Where Relvis works. Relvis has hidden himself somewhere in Azeroth, on some server somewhere. His character's name is Relvis, so you have that working for you. It's your job to find him. Once you find him, you have to show proof that you found him. Doing a /who won't work. You actually have to get to him. Send in a screenshot. You can PM it to Relvis or myself, or you can do whatever, post it on the forums, and just let us know.
Email it to us.
Email it to us. That works too. Our email address is warcraftanonymous@wcradio.com.
How do you spell that?
That is WARCRAFTANONYMOUS@wcradio.com. I did it without the paper that time. Oh yeah, I can spell.
Yeah, you can have a piece of cake after the show.
Yay, cake!
You were going to get a piece of cake after the show anyway.
Oh. So, where's Relvis? Relvis is Relvis where Relvis needs to be.
Relvis is where Relvis needs to be, and Relvis will be there in one moment. I was having some trouble connecting to the server list because Blizzard is made of wind. So give me 1 second.
In any event, folks, I will go ahead and give you the initial clue. The initial clue refers to the server, and the clue is Relvis is hidden on a server that shares a name with a powerful, famous Broken, thought to have allied himself with Illidan in the Black Temple. So there you go, there's your first hint. We'll give you your next hint here in about 20 minutes.
I'll also go out on a limb and say that I am playing on Horde side, so if you come find me on a Horde character, there is a prize involved. If you come at me from Alliance character, I don't know how you'll find me.
But if you get to him on an Alliance character, that'll be fantastic, let me just say. Especially if it's level 1 Alliance character. I will make a tune on your main and grind up some gold and send it to you if you manage to do that on the same server. If you manage to get a level 1 Alliance character to where Relvis is today. Alright, so any loose ends to tie up before we jump on into the show and all of its fantastic content?
Well, again, I'm going to reiterate one last time what we do enjoy or appreciate everyone who's logged onto the forums. We haven't had a lot of mail come our way from the self-help topics and such, but in lieu of that, we've had a lot of people come on and give their opinions on the forums, which is even better because that's a place for everyone to access them.
And everyone can see what everyone else has written.
So we definitely appreciate the input and really making this kind of a community show.
And that's really what we want to do on this show. We want to make it really listener-intensive, get a lot of your feedback on here, because we're lazy and we'd like to hear what you think and get you a little bit more interaction in this behemoth that is WoW Radio. All right. So, without further ado, we will jump into our self-help topic for the day, because we really need a drop-in for self-help. I'm thinking maybe something kind of deep voice, self-help, something like that. Maybe get some nice fancy vocal synthesizers on it.
Well, how about like a
Self-help.
That kind of works with the
Like
Dr.
Dr.
Claw
Claw
with the little lisp. That's fantastic. Because remember, here at Warcraft Anonymous, we are all about originality. That's right. So, self-help topic from last week were mods. Mods, are they good? Are they bad? What do you use for mods if you do in fact use mods? And what do you think of them as a whole? I just had flashbacks to Austin Powers there. Sorry.
I like Preparation H.
Preparation
On
H
the
feels
whole.
good on the whole. All right, so jumping right into our forums, you can read along with us by going to the forums link on WCRadio.com, heading down to Warcraft Anonymous, clicking on the self-help topic. We're going to work out the organization, how it works for each show. Maybe we'll cycle through and we'll make sure that the new self-help topics are at the top of each post or what have you. But in any event, you can scroll a little bit down the first page and you can start reading about mods. Black Master, or BLK Master. I'm not really sure if BLK represents black or something else entirely.
Could be Bald K Master.
Blick, we'll go with Blickmaster, says, I think any and all mods that don't harm anyone's gameplay are good. The fact that so many mods exist shows that Blizz did the right thing in integrating them into the structure of WoW. He personally uses naz'grel UI, mods that sort themselves are always good, Meta HUD, easier than looking up into the corner of the screen, Cartographer, an awesome map mod with preloaded maps and 3D waypoint arrows, and Auctioneer for his auction mule.
I have Eki, who said, "Yay mods, fun stuff that I can't live without, even though they tick me off sometimes. Because every time a new patch comes out, most of your mods stop working correctly." She uses mods like Foobar, which she I love this like fat kid loves cake. She says, makes it easy to keep track of my durability and my money and bag space. She also has other things like Atlas Loot, which allow her to check out what the fat loots are in some of the instances. I use La Vendetta boss mods because they wish me luck on all my boss fights, and they're just as good in AV and any of the battlegrounds.
Yes.
And let's see, she also uses Cartographer, by far the best map mod I've found. It's incredibly helpful when farming herbs, as they say over in the across the pond there, for potions and elixirs before raids.
All right. Patty writes, and I picked this one out because he uses a lot of mods that I am very much a fan of. He says, as I'm a raid leader for a raid community and attempt to co-run a class where with another there are tons of things I need to keep track of. So I have a few mods. Foobar, like we've said. Atlas Loot and Atlas Loot Enhance. Everybody has that because they all love linking stuff in trade chat, including the Warblades of Azeroth. ORA, which is CTRA but much smoother and has many more options, and also plugs in well with Foobar. Omen. Dodges incoming Flamefest of threat meters. He says, I find it quite more useful than KTM, although it requires you to update it daily to keep it accurate. Bongos allows you to keep track of your interface. Reef Count is a damage meter. That's one of the awesomest add-ons ever. And XRS is a small, lightweight add-on that is in a very small box that allows you to keep track of a number of things like buffs. With a one-click, allows you to rebuff missing ones. That and a few others which keep being added and deleted. Like most people, I think, as you find new mods, you cycle them in, you cycle old ones out that you don't use anymore. That's kind of standard fare.
Gartar says, these are some of the add-ons that I use the most. Apparently there's a long list of them, so I'm not going to go into all of them, but I'll try to point out some of the more interesting ones, the ones I'm familiar with. There's Mini Chat, lets you minimize your chat windows, makes it very kind of like an AIM instant messenger type deal. There is the Big Wigs, shows timers, spells, and other things bosses will use in a raid. Little wigs, I should say, show timer and spells and other things that bosses will use in a 5-man. So
that's
it sounds
nice
like
to
one's
have.
A raid, one's a 5-man.
One's a 5-man.
Pratt, it's a framework for chat modules. And let's see if there are any other things. There's one called Theorycraft.
Yes.
It tells you everything about an ability right on the tooltip.
I actually had that one installed for a while. It was kind of nice because what those mods do is it's especially useful for mages and other offensive spellcasters or even healers or anyone that use spells, because it takes things like your spell damage and it factors it into the tooltip. So instead of your Frostbolt saying, this spell hits for 620 to 660 damage, when you have 1,000 plus damage, it actually tells you that it'll hit from 1540 to 1620 or something to that effect, which is useful. It's nice to be able to just look at it and know what your average damage is going to be dealing.
I actually use very few mods myself, just because I really tried to get into vanilla WoW. Just to, I don't know, I'm very much into the skill-based part that I think that allows you to work on, which is some of the reasons why, like we've discussed in the past, some people are leaving the World of Warcraft community due to the fact that things like threat meters are coming in. I mean, I use things that allow, like Atlas Loot, just because it's kind of interesting to see what certain bosses drop, and then other things like, I don't know, quick changing clothes mods. Item rack.
That's
I think
fun.
there's another one out there, but item rack's a really easy, nice one that I use for both my rogue and my shamans.
Yep. And that's all well and good. And Relvis and I will be getting into more of which mods we use and what we think of mods after the music break. So we are going to go ahead and slide into a short music break here. A couple songs. You got some tracks coming at you from Say Anything and some more Seosin. And we will see you in about 6 or 7 minutes.
Somebody loot the stupid car, huh? Wait a minute. This is my first time. I've never done this before. What am I supposed to be taking?
Can we please stop pulling till the entire raid is ready?
I need to repair. My armor's almost all broken.
Communication problems? Get your game on with UGTservers.com, premium quality Ventrilo servers. With UGTservers.com, you get the highest quality codecs at half the price of the competition, and with Guild Deposit, your entire guild can share the cost of the server. With features like custom control panel, true premium bandwidth, and introducing cold spare hot swap, if your server goes down, you'll have a backup at no time. Don't wipe in silence. Minimize your downtime and save money on premium quality Ventrilo servers from UGTservers.com.
And we are back, we being Hiko,
And Railvis.
on Warcraft Anonymous. Wow, Railvis. A little slow there, a little slow.
Because I keep coming up with witty things to say, but you never say, I am Hiko. You always say, with me, Hiko. And I can't say, with me, hairy nipples. Like, it just doesn't work. If I said, and I have hairy nipples, it would work.
Ha! Curses, you've unraveled my plan, my dastardly plan to not let you sound witty on the air.
I don't sound witty in general.
That's true.
That's why I gotta take every advantage I can get.
Yeah, well, just keep flinging the mom jokes around and you'll be fine. Alright, before the break, we were talking about something. I'm pretty sure it might have been mods.
Mods?
Maybe? Mods?
The Mod Squad?
Mob Squad.
No, not the Mob Squad. The Mod Squad.
Mod Squad.
Yes.
Geek Squad?
No.
We could probably
The
use
Nerd Herd.
the Nerd Squad.
No, the Nerd Herd.
Nerdcore?
Maybe.
Max Maps eating other people?
R.I.P. Max Maps. For those of you who didn't hear, Max Maps got put in a cold glass of water and flushed down the toilet this evening.
He was electrocuted first, actually. Electrocuted and then flushed.
I think he
Oh, he was just shocked. Okay, so
He
he
was
wasn't
shocked by the
electrocuted.
cold
He was
water.
just shocked by the cold water, that's
And
right.
if you want to know what we're talking about, you'll have to go back and download the archives for Max Speed
That's right.
and check it out.
And that's just more reason for you to check out Max Speed, the After Show,
The
and
Max Speed After Party.
all of which just kind of happens all
half-hour
at once.
pre-show.
And then our half
Our
hour
show.
and then you just
was, like-
wind it back and you go back in time by 3.5 hours to check out the WoW Insider show.
You know, they just don't build time machines like they will do.
No, they really don't, and that's a shame. So, before the break, we were talking about mods, and we've sparked a wonderful debate in the IRC channel, one that I am completely ignoring, because otherwise I'm going to get horrendously and horribly distracted. Railvis, I think you had some thoughts that you wanted to finish up before I went on my little tangent.
Actually, I was just going to touch on the last couple of mods that I used, that I found helpful, at least as a rogue. And even any spellcaster. Well, there's the Battlecry mod, which is actually not for my rogue, it's more
That's
for my
fun.
shaman.
Yep.
And I use that, and even though it's more of a role-playing mod, it kind of says things when you cast specific spells. I like using it in my healers, because when you're in a raid situation, you start casting. I don't know, unless you're using CT Raid or something like that, I don't know who you're rezzing.
And now this says it, so
says
we can all read and say, oh, it looks like Alonia is rezzing NECA, because NECA's an aggro whore. That's good, I can res somebody else now.
And so that's why I like the battle cry thing. And it, again, it's good for an RP server. I don't play on an RP server, but it is, you can kind of customize it to certain things, and it only can be set to go off at certain intervals. Let's see. And I went through things like item rack, Atlas loot, Atlas maps. Good for going into certain dungeons if you don't know where you're going, especially if it's someplace kind of confusing like Mardon, where you have no idea where you're going.
Yep, the all map mods like Cartographer that have a instance package is nice. Are nice.
We use there's that guild one that we've been using that lets you know where other guildmates are in the world.
Guildmate map, which is kind of nice for people that don't have the same map mod. This one works with all of them. You can see where your guildies are in the world.
And it shows up kind of like, except colored, kind of like it would if you were in a raid.
Yep. Some calendar mods. Group calendar is an example. I don't use it anymore. It's a little bit clunky, but calendars like that are useful for setting up raids and that kind of thing. And Stinky Queue. We're a big fan of
Stinky
Stinky
Queue.
Queue. That's fun. Lets you group queue for AV in a way by synchronizing and automatizing. We'll go with automatizing because
I
that
like
sounds like
that.
a pretty good word.
Somebody wow wiki that. Or
Automatizing. AUTO, and I don't know where to go from there.
Make it up.
Just
With a
make
Q.
it up.
Put
Just-
some Z's in there.
It'll be fantastic. But it lets you group queue for AV. Other than that, the only mods I actually wanted to pimp were the WoW Ace mods. You can do a search for them. They're on Curse, they're on WoW Interface and all that stuff. But the Ace team over there at WoW Ace, they have a whole bunch of different mods. Omen, Recount, Fubar, Cartographer, Bartender, they're all updated through these people. Quartz, that's an excellent casting bar mod. And my personal favorite, Unit Frames, which is AG Unit Frames, which is incredibly customizable. You can do just about anything you want. It's a little bit behind on everything else, but you can customize it to the heart's content. They're really fantastic. And they have a special downloader that you can automatically update all the mods that you have installed and download any new mods from them, all from this little interface that's just a program you run on your computer. It's really shiny. But the point I really wanted to get across, and there were a couple screams of "No, Aurus in the threat meters" in IRC and all that stuff, is that mods are there to help. They're there to make your life more convenient, but you need to not rely on them. The same way, mods, like anything else, are a crutch, and you need to be able to do it yourself. For example, there are a lot of quote-unquote easy healer mods, where it automatically, tells you who you need to heal or whatever. I don't really know what they do because I've never used them, because that's a horrible misuse of Blizzard's mod user interface, letting you play a class by clicking buttons on a mod. I don't agree with that entirely. Threat meter, while it is a spectacular tool, it's another one of those things where you need to not rely on it. Just imagine you get into a raid and somebody in your raid, you're dependent on threat meter, and all of a sudden one of your tanks in your raid isn't using threat meter because A, it doesn't work with their computer for some reason or another, or because they just don't want to use it. Well, you're screwed unless you know how to manage your own aggro. Mods like that are an excuse for people who aren't really good yet to just stay where they are instead of getting better. And if you're talking about being in a competitive edge of the game where you're in raids, you're in PvP, you need to learn to play, which is another great show here on WoW Radio. Wow, that was a shameless plug. I just lost my momentum because the music break kind of went silent for a second because there was the pause between the songs, and all of a sudden I was like, oh crap, dead air. What's going on? I'm confused. But anyway, mods are great as long as they enrich your gaming experience, as long as you don't depend on them. I think that's all I have to say about that.
Well, I added a couple more posts from emails that I got from people on this topic. A lot of interesting discussions going on, and there's even more about the threat meters. Again, if you go to our self-help topic in our forums and check it out, you can see what everyone else wrote. I just put up a new forum thread called Blizzard and Mods. I'm really interested in hearing what people have to say about Blizzard kind of absorbing and adapting some of the pre-existing mods into their game, kind of like threat meter, or even though it's not a mod, but Ventrilo. Is this something that Blizzard should just let these mod people do their thing? Do you think Blizzard should absorb more of these mods and try to integrate it as part of their game? Post there and let people know what you think.
All right. It's time for us to switch topics. But before we do that, it's time for another exciting segment of Where's Relvis. You folks are already off to a great start. I've noticed some of you have already found the server, and you're in there spamming in general chat, looking for groups to hunt down Relvis. It's spectacular. It's like an old days with bloodhounds hunting down a fox. It's spectacular. Hint number 2. This time Relvis has an addiction to arcane magic. Can you find him in the starting zone of the race that shares the same problem?
Now, with that said, I've died twice so far, just waiting for people to find me. I'm currently running back to my body. And also, judging from the general chat channel, it seems like they're amassing some kind of mob with pitchforks and torches to come find me.
Burn her! Burn the witch! Burn her!
She's not a witch.
She turned me into a newt.
Well, I got better. Oh, I shouldn't have said anything about the whole mob coming, because now there people who didn't know about it are asking for an invite to the group. Well, anyway, good luck finding me. I'm back at my body now. Hopefully I won't die again. Stupid trees.
And now for something completely different.
This brings us to our general interest topic for the day. For those of you who aren't familiar with it, general interest is where you get to tell us what to talk about. Now, we had a little bit of user input from last week, and that's great. We're going to give you another general opportunity to give us a general interest topic for next week. But like we said last time, Illyrian sent us a really good topic, one that we really wanted to touch upon, because we spent a lot of time talking about PvE and all that stuff, and we kind of want to give PvP a little bit of loving. A little bit of loving for PvP. That is until Gankin gets his show going here on WoW Radio. So, Illyrian sent us a wonderful topic. It was great. He sent us a very nice email. It was well structured, well thought out, with lots of real good input. And Railvis and I sat down with the list, and we kind of sat down in my living room.
And it is a list.
It is a list. The
Yeah, I
numbers
felt
and
like
everything.
like I said, when we went over this, it definitely feels like it would be something that my college professor would give me and say, okay, answer the following topics in essay format. It needs to be at least 3 paragraphs and a small book before you hand it in.
And that's fine. I love writing books. I do. I ended up writing a 46-page paper at the end of last year because I'm wordy and verbose, and I talk too much. So we are going to go ahead and give some PvP lovin' thanks to Illyrian and his awesome topic. So what do you think, Rail? Do we want to just kind of wing it, or do we want to actually touch upon all of his
Oh god,
questions?
I'm being
and
attacked by a tree. It's level something. I died.
Is it level over 9,000?
It is level over 9,000. I died
Level
again.
9?
Hey, but my dagger skills went up to 3.
Yes! 3! Which is more than 2 and less than 4.
Anyway, do we want to kind of wing it? Well, let me just pull up my essay there. Yeah, of course we're going to wing it.
Well, I meant, do you want to just talk about PvP in general, or do you want to actually go with the format that Illyrian sent us?
Why don't you pull out some of the more interesting questions, or what you feel are some of the more interesting questions? We'll touch on those, and we'll see how long it takes, and if we end up covering them all, we end up covering them all. If we don't, it's your fault for not moving us fast enough.
Sweet. So, first question, PvP? I think that's insightful.
That's the question?
No, that's
is
that's
PvP or not to PvP? Is that the question?
PvP or not PvP, that is the question and all that jazz. No! But let's look at PvP as a whole. Way back in the day, people were running around. They were having wars at Terran Mill and South Shore. People were running around in AV and Warsong Gulch, and then AB came on the scene. They restructured the honor system. After that, we got Eye of the Storm. From there, we moved on to arenas, and we have a new arena system now that's molding, and it's actually going back to be very similar to how the original honor system worked. And everything is just going crazy, and PvP has really blossomed into a very strong part of the game, which it wasn't before. Yeah, World of Warcraft still isn't PvP-oriented like Warhammer Online is probably going to be, but it is a big part of the game, and it deserves some love. So, Rail, what impact did Battlegrounds and that style of PvP have on World of Warcraft? How did that relate to leveling up in World PvP, and what positive and negative effects did the introduction of BGs have on WoW?
Well, let's go way back. We'll jump on our
Way
time
back.
machine and go way back.
Sweet.
So now we're way back.
We are way back. It's remarkably similar to way ahead, or wherever we just were.
Except if you notice way back where we are now, you'll look around, you'll notice that the only PvP that's going on any server is only happening between South Shore and Terran Mill, because they are the closest to Horde and Alliance towns, so they're creating the most friction.
All right, so let's hop in our little gnomish flying machine, which are, by the way, are coming out in patch 2.3, and head on up to that area and check out what's going on.
So you'll see, even on no matter what server, again, you're going to find people flagging themselves on PvE servers just for the heck of it.
Or just being flagged on PvP servers.
Yep, and I mean, obviously you're going to come across the little level 22s that are in there doing their thing, but again, who's not going to want to run up and gank what they can? So this is pretty much the only real kind of
Strong outlet.
for PvP at the time. And then Blizzard kind of picks up on this and realizes that perhaps there needs to be an outlet for these people, so you're not getting the complaining, the people on either kind of server.
level through the Arathi Islands and the Hillsbrad because they keep ganking me.
So Blizzard responds with coming out with Battlegrounds. And the first Battlegrounds that they end up coming out with are Warsong, and I believe AB shortly thereafter.
AV?
And then AV was introduced at BlizzCon one year. But they introduced that capture the flag type deal and a resource type deal. This is now an outlet for people to go start PvPing on and kind of getting some of that aggression out. The people on the PvE servers now have a place where they can go where they're not going to bother other people.
Right, because that's the whole thing about a PvE server, is people roll on that because they don't particularly want to play PvP. Or they roll on it not really knowing what the difference is, realize they really like PvP, and the Battlegrounds gave you a place to do that. And it was fantastic. There was the whole honor system that went along with it, and you were able to go PvP with other people that wanted to PvP, and not bother the people that were leveling. Sure, it's still fun to go out and gank lobies every now and then, but now that isn't the only form of outlet. There was all of these battlegrounds, and I think that was a great step forward in trying to organize PvP and make it a viable part of WoW.
Now, at the same time, Blizzard looks, and I can kind of, I don't know if this is exactly their train of thought, but it makes sense. They look at the fact that you have these designated areas for PvP. However, how are you going to encourage people to use these areas? So they're going to come up with something like a ranking system, which I believe originally was to give you a title before your name.
Yay,
a
titles!
military title like private or lieutenant or something like that.
Sergeant, master sergeant.
So it becomes more of a way to show off. Look how shiny I am! I killed this
Individuality,
many people. And that starts to play into it. And then the idea of gear comes out, and AV hits the kind of BG realms, and AV nobody knows what to do with because it's new. Nobody tells them what they need to do. You obviously can't go to something like Thoughtbot and be like, "What do I do in AV?"
Sweet! Let's find AV strategies. Of course, ultimately you do get strategies that develop, but back in the beginning,
it was, the RP servers had a blast with this because these battles would go on for 4 days. And you could leave and come back and get right back into the same battle.
AV. The same one. I've been there.
And some people were finding this kind of, to be a nuisance. They want to get their honor, get in, get out, get their token, and these things are taking forever.
I remember epic battles that ended up having people turtling at one end, then pushing the other team back to turtling at the other end, and then back and forth for just hours on end. And the big gods would be summoned, which was, by the way, a fantastic time. And it was just absolutely awe-striking how amazingly long the battles were. But the downside was that back then, the only other people you PvP'd with were the ones on your server. This was before the time of cross-realm battle groups. So this means you waited 3 hours to get into AV. I remember starting my PvP grind, logging in, saying, okay, I'm going to get some honor from AV, and log in, and I go over to AV, and I queue up, and then I just walked away. I made a sandwich, went and watched a movie in my room while I'm waiting for the queue to pop. And then the queue pops, I get my 4 hours of AV in, and we're done.
I did get a little distracted, I'm going to admit.
That's
because
fine.
Somebody did actually find me, and now I just had the second person find me. But Karok found me, and I'm going to give him the prize once he gets back, because he got traced by a level 9 tree, which killed him. And Karok, you will get 1 gold. I have 1 gold on this level 1 tune, and it is all yours to do with as you wish.
If you ever decide to level up that tune, now you'll have some strong financial backing.
And you're already level 2, in fact, because you tried to find me.
There you go.